Okay. Time to make the donuts. It is September 18th? Wednesday, I think. So yesterday I took my oldest son. Took him in the water for the first time. He's 4 years old. Will be 5 in October. Yeah, we went to Newfound Lake. There it was the paid access, the paid beach, Wellington State Park. It was all right. It's about as good as New Hampshire does, huh? It was nice. It's like it felt like Mr. Bean. You know, one of those British beaches where it's just like all old people just sitting there reading, and it was just, you know, because it's like 65 or over gets in free. Because New Hampshire needed to feel more like a retirement state, right? It's like there's no signs for where the beach is. There's signs for boats because everything's about boats around here. And we ended up parking in one spot. It looked like there were some trails, maybe some footpaths to get to the beach. And I park and I get my son out of the car seat, and get everything together, and start walking. I turn around, and the sign says "Vehicle with trailer parking only," and I'm just like, got a little angry. So I had to get all back in the car, because I didn't want to get a ticket. It's, live free or die my ass, man. Fish and Game is looking for any reason to justify their existence. Here we go. We got turkeys. I'm not going to beep because there's a house right there. It's too early. I'm not a fan of New Hampshire Fish and Game. I'm not a fan of any state Fish and Game. Here goes my political and/or governmental tangent here. The whole thing is very bizarre to me. First of all, New Hampshire Fish and Game has had a history of fighting our legislators and our governor on Second Amendment freedoms. But the other weird thing is, if you look at every state, they all have the same literature. These fish and game departments, they all operate like the exact same way. They all look the exact same way. They all have the exact same magazines that you go when you get your hunting license, wherever you go to buy hunting supplies, they always have their Fish and Game magazines, right? And then I think New Hampshire has like a freaking show. So these people get way too much money, way too much funding from all the boomers, right? We have to protect our natural resources. They think they can set the rules to who's allowed to carry what when they're walking in the woods. So again, take away the funding. That's the best thing we can do. We have to stop being morons and stop being babies and whining and complaining. All right, we got to get representatives that are willing to, stand up and take away their funding. They have way too much money. There's so many fish and game offices out throughout New Hampshire. They got like all these brand new F-150s. way too much money. Anyway, it was inevitable. It was inevitable. I was gonna talk about politics or something in that vein, right? Anyway, yeah. So the park was all right. Wellington State Park. I mean, it's just like too many rules, too many signs, outrageous fees for stupid crap like $15 to rent a canoe for an hour, and like no one's renting them. So it's like, why don't you just make it $5 an hour? Maybe people will actually fucking rent them. Government is just stupid. So yeah, it was like it reminded me of Mr. Bean, with all these old people. It was hilarious. Here I am, this young strapping lad. Not really, but here I am, this fatso with the beard. And I just feel like I'm being scrutinized by all these old, judgy people, But the hilarious thing was, you look at in typical old person fashion, like, you look at these people and they're just, like, staring at you. Like, I don't know if they realize they do that, or if they're sleeping under their sunglasses, or they're dead, one of the three. So I'm just like, in the water with trying to, encourage my son, and I feel like I'm being watched by all these old crows. But the hilarious thing was, it was like almost exactly at 1 o'clock. I don't know why it was 1, but it was. Every single one of these old people got out their lunch, like in sync. It was like, wow. Oh man. I read it was a nice beach for kids, so that's why I chose it. There's no like pools around here, obviously, because it's the lake region. But what the hell is going on here? So I got this universal anti-fog insert on this gold visor. You know what? It works pretty damn good, because if I didn't have this thing in right now, it'd be fogging up like a mofo. And in case I didn't publish that video, when I bought this visor, I thought they could accept a pin lock insert, but it's not a pin lock visor. It's actually a Scorpion XO visor, and it had its own anti-fog technology that worked pretty good, because I was like, man, without the insert, this is working a hell of a lot better than my pin lock visor did without an insert. Oh, it's because it's not a pin lock visor, and it has its own proprietary anti-fog quote technology. Well, it worked pretty good. Doesn't hold a candle to the pin lock, though, once you get the insert in. But now that I have the universal insert, it's pretty damn good. Not as nice, because the insert doesn't have as much coverage. It's like smaller size-wise. So out of my peripheral, I can kind of see the seams. It's a little annoying, but it works good. Do political signs actually do anything? Like, as someone who votes for, freedom, am I going to look at the anti-freedom party signs and be like, I think I'm going to switch? It's funny how the other side has their own idea of freedom, like, that is not really freedom, or like they already have those freedoms, but they want more special treatment. But again, like my grandmother used to say, arguing with a crazy person just makes you crazy. So don't debate with them. Don't entertain their, viewpoints. Just like kind of smile and nod like you're talking to a crazy person, right? That's what you do. So it's like, oh, sure. Yes, dear, yes, of course. Like when your wife has PMS, not to argue. Just go somewhere else for the day. Pretty sure this used to all be a dirt road. I could be wrong. It's dirt up here, but I thought this used to be dirt too. New Hampshire is obsessed with paving their dirt roads. Well, this will be a nice road to drive through when all the leaves are changing. See them already changing. And just as an example of how oddly specific some of the rules at that club are, I'm sure someone could make sense of this. There's always someone that's like, oh, well, that's because blah, blah, blah. No shooting before 8:10 a.m. 8:10. Not 8, not 8, not 8:30, not 8:15. Not that any of those. I mean, the only one that would make sense is 8 to me, but yeah. Just bizarre. It's a weird culture. I don't get it, but whatever. It's a very strange culture at this club. Culture Club. Culture Club. Wasn't that like that 80s band with Boy George? That's so weird. What does it all mean? Do you really want to hurt me? I won't continue with that. I'll just stop now. Someone built a nice garage. They just built just a garage. I would love to be able to just buy land and just build just a garage. How amazing is that? It's got a nice Kubota tractor, a boat, 2 doors, a loft. What am I doing with my life? Hell, back home.